Ladies and gentlemen, ATV Productions would like to welcome you to Tea Time with Aladdin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Tea Time with Aladdin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful first day of October. It is Thursday, October 1st. The best month of the year is here. Well, second best month. First month is November, and that's just because it's the month of my birth. And what better month is celebrating you than, so second best month. Now, I just want to go ahead and state that the fall season is my favorite season. Between the food, the pies, pumpkins, the pies, the candy, Halloween, just everything about this month is perfection. The weather's getting cooler, except on this island where it seems to be getting hotter and I am melting. But, the month of October is just something beautiful. And I hope you guys are all already getting your movie list set up. I've been binging horror movies on Netflix like no other. This is my month. I love this month. The only downfall is I fear that Halloween will not be occurring this year, which shouldn't stop you guys from dressing up, making some cool costumes, because I am attempting to make some costumes for me and a friend on this island. I'm going to try to be the sexiest hula girl this island has ever seen, even though hula girls are totally stereotypical. But it was either that, or I was going to make us some like shells out of like coconut shit. No, I'm not even going to tell you guys. Screw that. I'm not even going to give you my costume ideas. I thrive on my costumes, so I'm very, very picky. I like to, blend out from the bunch. But I digress. I don't want to spend too much time on just talking about how much I love October and how much I love the fall. So I hope you guys are all enjoying the seasonal foods. I hope you guys are all prepping for the best moments of the year. I don't know, again, how things are going back home. It's been a minute since I've spoken to my friends and family back home, but I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Take it easy. Take advantage of buying that candy, whether you give it to kids or if you eat it yourself. Don't change those routines. Those are traditions that must be kept. And again, make some costumes. Post that on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, however you express yourself, do it. It's definitely needed. I'm positive. But I want to go ahead and thank you guys for sticking with me. And for those of you who have listened to my first episode of Tea Time with Aladdin, I'm currently sipping on some chamomile tea because it's a nice, calm morning before I head out to school. I appreciate the feedback that I got from my friends and family that listen. To the newcomers, I appreciate you guys. I'm not really, posting this on like social medias. I just want to I just want to see who stumbles upon it. And obviously, if you heard it on Snapchat or you hear it through here, you got it. But I do appreciate your guys' feedback, your kind words. And again, welcome to you new guys. I hope to, talk to you somewhere down the road. You guys are the people that I'm trying to reach out to. Everyone that I already know, they already know who I am. So I'm trying to get to, expand my horizons here. So again, thank you for joining me on episode 2. I apologize for my absence. I had an exam. I did poorly on the exam. I was losing my mind, studying. It was just a mess. But I have a mini break. I lied. I don't have a break. I'm already studying. This is my break right here. So hopefully I can knock this episode out fairly quickly, give you guys some great topics of the day, and then we'll go from there. I do want to go ahead and briefly mention to those of you who answered the thought of the day last week, or last episode, I was very shocked that a lot of you actually knew how to use a fire extinguisher. So props to you guys. Again, I was not expecting it because how many people actually have a fire extinguisher? But glad to see that you guys are being safe and protected out there. Also glad to hear that some of you guys enjoyed the music that I put in there, which I want to go ahead and state again. Intro music and intermission music is from the wonderfully talented Alan Gogel. Again, if you guys ever want to check out his work, it's beautiful. His instrumentals are fabulous. I love instrumental music. It's pretty much like my go-to study music, and I listen to him constantly. And, depending on the season, if you're a seasonal person, it's pretty much one of the reasons why I found him. Autumn, spring, summer, fall. He's got that kind of like genre, the flair going on. So give him a listen. I know you guys won't, be disappointed. His current track that I'm playing is from his lo-fi album. Amazing. Nighttime lo-fi, I believe. So good. Give it a listen. You guys won't be sad. And you guys will have some beautiful music to share with everybody. But again, let's get straight to it. I have some great topics for you guys today. I hope you guys are enjoying your mornings. I hope you guys are sipping on some tea. And for the coffee drinkers out in the back, I guess I appreciate you guys too. But let's begin. So, let me just state this. I am nowhere near close to having kids. I don't even have a significant other to potentially even consider having kids with. Or, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, you get my point. Now, I was talking with my friend just about when the time comes and we have kids, what would we name our kids? And I always find it really hard to determine what exactly I would name my child, In my head, I think of some names. I think I have one name, actually in mind, and I would name one of my daughters after one of my aunts. But other than that, I don't know what I would name my son. And she was saying, she likes these names, this name, and this name. And, when you are thinking about picking your child's name, it takes a lot of, thought process. Because you don't want your kid to have this bland name that everyone's like, oh yeah, how many freaking Kyles in your life do you know? I'm sorry if your name is Kyle and you're listening to this, but there's just too many Kyles. There just is. And, for me, I love my name. Of course, in my childhood youth, it wasn't my, I was crazy about my name strictly because every time someone either knew me, it was because they were like, oh, this is the guy who's named after a Disney movie. So I appreciate my mom for that. But it got me very well recognized. I will say that much. But, it has its downfalls. And sometimes I always have to, ensure that I remember somebody's name. Because upon introducing myself, they will remember my name. Most of the time. If I'm lucky, they won't. But they do, which means I am inclined to memorize their name. Which isn't a bad thing. It should be a good gesture to remember someone's name. You should always make an effort, especially if you're having a meaningful conversation with another person. But, I think about it really hard. And one of the things for me, which is the basis of this topic, is ethnic names. Now, I, of course, have told you guys I am Middle Eastern, I am Palestinian. And, our names are very creative names. But they're not really creative. They're just majority of them, I will say, are religious names. They're biblical. Well, they're not biblical because they're not from the Bible. It's from the Quran. But our names resemble that. And then, of course, everyone else has their unique individual names. Now, of course, you have your Ahmeds and your Husseins, which I would never name my kids that. Beautiful names, don't get me wrong. But there's just too many of them. So, I think to myself, what would I name my child? Now, for me, my name is Aladdin. In English pronunciation, it's Aladdin. In Arabic, my name is pronounced as Aladdin. So one of the things that I always again, I think to myself, I don't know if these are things that other people think about as often as I do, but what would I name my child? Because I can't give them your standard typical American name because one, I'm pretty sure my grandmother would kill me, and two, it's just not how we do things. And one of the things that I always love making the connections to go back to how Arabic names always find a way of having some form of American association with it. Now, you know how Dick always ends up being Richard, or how what's another good one? How William ends up being Billy, or Jonathan is John, something like that. Well, for us, we don't really have that. We we always take our very ethnic given names and we turn them into very whitewashed names. Mostly because people can't pronounce our names, which, is a blessing and a curse all the same. And, after a while, you just you tell yourself, oh, it's not going to bother me. Why am I going to care? But after a certain amount of time, you care. Now, my name, again, I will say, is Aladdin. To me, it's simple. I'm named after a Disney movie. Now, to some, people would say that, yeah, it's an easy name to remember. It's an easy name to pronounce. Okay, well, that's not always the case. Some people do mispronounce my name, which is a dark day for me, and it really shocks me when it happens. But sometimes I get, there's a few people who can pronounce it, or they try to pronounce it, and they do a decent job pronunciation-wise. And they say Aladdin, which I'm okay with, but it's just not 100% accurate. Then I have people who call me Alden, or they spell it like Aiden, and I'm like, okay, I don't know where you guys are getting your letters from, and this and that, but it's just not making sense, and it's just wrong. So I look at other names, and I looked at my family members, and it's funny because I have a lot of family members, and they all have their own given nicknames for their names. One goes by Tim. His name's not Tim. The other one goes by Johnny. Nowhere near Johnny. Who else? My grandfather, we call him Sam. My grandmother, we call her Sue. Sue and Sam. You think of a nice little flower shop owners in the middle of town, right? Well, that's essentially them. They own a restaurant, but again, they're not Sam and Sue. My mom, same thing. My sisters, luckily, my sisters have pretty reasonable names, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about them as much. I have a cousin. His name is Sam. His name is not Sam. But it just cracks me up because we go our lives with these different identities that so many people know us as, but we aren't these people. And it always cracks me up. And I know, there's some people who think outside the box, and they name their kids Jessica. I can't use this one because I actually have... Alright, scratch Jessica. You have Caitlin, for example, and you know how many different ways you can spell Caitlin? It gets a little irritating after a while. But it's just there's so many different ways of spelling these people's names, and at a certain point, we just gotta stop. We have to think to ourselves, what are we going to do for these kids down the road? And, amongst, I guess, culturally, it's a different story because no one is going to call my cousin Tim or Sam amongst each other. We're going to call them by their given name. It's just how it goes. For me, for example, another way my family addresses me is Alat. It's a shorter version. It's the first half of my name in Arabic. And that's how my family addresses me. And I always find it funny when I go to other people's houses and, you hear, or you interact with other people's families and you hear their names, and again, completely different than what you would expect. And I found it really funny when I came to school here. A lot of my friends that I met upon moving into campus, I'm saying, their names, if you tell me your name is one way, then that's how I'm assuming your name is. Well, goes to show that it is the same exact thing that I would encounter with my family and my culture. It's the same with them. Now they're, Indian, Punjabi, so like I would always hear their names, and I didn't know any better. So when I would say their name over and over, but then I would hear other people call them a different name, I'm just like, huh. I was like, why are they calling them that? Well, as time went on, I realized that their names weren't their names. I'm not going to drop any names just in case you guys are listening, because, I'm not trying to call you guys out. But it's just, I always find it funny that as a foreign person, we are given an alias by birth. So we are essentially two people. We have our American names, and then we have our ethnic names. And it's one of the things, I don't know why, we were just talking about it and it just hit me, and I just love the idea of this, like, this notion. And I never really thought about it, and I personally don't take advantage of it as well as I should, because when I think about it, I could be many people. I have many ways to say my name, and because of this, I can technically be whoever I want to be. It's actually kind of scary when I say it that way, but at the same time, I hope you guys are just getting my point. So what I want to, ask is, to all you people out there who have foreign names or ethnic names, how do you guys feel about this idea of double identities on your actual name and the name you are addressed as in public? It's funny, when I used to work in a restaurant, my grandparents' restaurant downtown in Columbus, I love nicknames, and they always give me nicknames. But, no one ever called me by my actual name. So it's like after a while, my name was just Big Al, and then eventually Al stuck, and I was Al. And a lot of people just assume my name is Al, or, especially like my Instagram name and my Snapchat, all my social medias pretty much, they all think my name is Ali because of Prince Ali. So it always gives me a good chuckle whenever I think of how people interpret other people's names and so forth. But again, now I'm just going off on a tangent. So I hope you guys are enjoying it so far, because here comes the real highlights of the day. That was our nice opener. This is where the real stuff comes in. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off with something that just happened to me. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. So yesterday, me and my friend were driving back to our apartment, and on our way here, on the island, the laws of the road here are a little different than the States. One, we're already driving on the left side of the road like you would in England or somewhere else, over in the UK. So we're driving on the opposite side of the road, so for starters. Now, at a turn, majority of the people here will pass you up, and upon passing you up, they honk their horn and then they pass you. Well, this guy tried to pass me as I was turning into our apartment complex. Now, because of this, we almost got into a car accident. Now, I'm used to driving in the United States. I am not used to driving here. I think this is the first, maybe second week that I've been driving here, because lately we've been taking turns driving to and from school. Now, as, almost got into a car accident, I turn into the apartment complex after he stops and, avert the whole accident. I'm not a confrontational person. I try not to be a confrontational person. I try to use, if I have to argue or confront somebody, I do it in times that are necessary. I'm not a hothead. My family's full of them, but I am not. I'm like the oddball out. If my mom heard this, she'd be cussing me out and calling me a little biatch. Which I'm just civil, I like to keep the peace. Now, with that said, I'm minding my own business. I'm going to get ready. We're going to unpack and go. But, of course, I saw him stop in the middle of the road, and I was looking at him. I was like, is he trying to come at me? So I was like, all right, if I got to be an asshole, I will be an asshole. But he actually came, pulled his car to the side, and came up to me and asked me if I was okay. Now, let me tell you guys, I was flabbergasted. I have never been more surprised by anything in my entire life. Now, I am used to Michigan, where everyone out there drives like they're street racing. Half the time they are street racing. But if you were to get into a car accident, people would come out guns a-blazing. Okay, that's overdramatic. People would be coming out rage, their hair would be on fire. People would be coming at you with like a knife. I'm like, y'all need to chill. But that's just what I visualize. I've never been in like an actual accident myself, knock on wood. Thank God. But, my point is, there's never been a civil altercation between others. Like, I've only seen violence. I've had friends who've been in car accidents, and, the end result is somebody comes out screaming on the other end. And it's just crazy to me that here, he came out and he asked, am I okay? Asked me about my car. And in return, I did the same thing. I was like, are you okay? Like, obviously we didn't hit each other, but like, everything okay? Like, you didn't hit anything as everything was happening. He goes, I apologize. It was my fault. I didn't see your signal right away. We talked it out and everything was good, which ideally is what you'd want, And it just took me by surprise, because I feel like that's something that is how it should be done. Compared to back in the stateside, everyone's so angry. Yes, I get it, the damage, it's horrible. But then, of course, you have to go through the process of who has to pay. Whose insurance is going to handle this? Do you have insurance? Did a hit and run just occur? Because let me tell you something. I don't know about the rest of the world. I don't know about the rest of the United States. But in Michigan, to my knowledge, we still have no-fault insurance. Now, no-fault insurance, essentially, if you get into a car accident, they still can decide whose fault it was. But in the end of the day, your insurance is paying for it, not the other person's. Everyone's like, it's everyone for themselves, So, essentially, I've seen so many hit and runs in Michigan, it's disgusting. Hit and runs that shouldn't have happened, but they've happened. Now, I also was with someone once upon a time when they were in a car accident, and she was super pissed, my friend. And at that time, she was about to get out of the car, and then the mom of the other car got out and was yelling at her daughter, but apologized to my friend. Which, now that right there is, again, another indication of like a civil altercation. Of how an interaction of a car accident should happen. But, one of the things that I always find very interesting is the way times change, like the transition between how things are done now and how things are done in the past and how things should be done in the future. Now, in the past, growing up, I remember we used to come out, yeah, of course you'd be pissed, you'd be irritated, you just damaged your car. They just damaged their car. But instead of coming at them immediately like, what the hell is wrong with you, dude? Or, lady, I'm going to come kick your ass. It was, oh my gosh, are you okay? Is there anyone else in the car? Checking on them in the situation, because, again, you don't know who is in the car. And especially in like a heat of a moment, you never know what's actually happening. Which I feel is the more respectful and the kind thing to do. Which, again, goes to show, I feel like today, people are a little bit more hot-headed. People are a little bit more, what's the word? I'm not trying to say, yeah, they're mean. People are meaner. But the word I want, it'll come to me eventually. But essentially, that's what I'm trying to get at, is that kindness really goes one step further than being hostile. There we go, hostility. Now, when he came out of his car and he was walking towards me, I was like, I don't want to throw down. I've never thrown down, so I don't want this to be the first time. But, I was like, I appreciated the fact that he came and asked if we were okay, that, the car was okay. He was very sincere in his actions, and I loved it. I really did appreciate it. And it also just made me feel good knowing that, there's somebody out there who's concerned for my well-being. Because no one really cares about the other person's well-being. We're all about me, me, me. We think about ourselves before we think about others. Certain situations, I won't deny, you have to think like that. And others, I think it's important that we should acknowledge that we should be helping another person, especially in need. And in a certain situation like a car accident, you are both victims of an incident. So in this situation, you would think that each person would check on the other person's well-being. Yeah, you can have some hostility towards each other and, push those feelings aside, or you can be petty about it and then, not petty, about the whole situation, throw some, blah, 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 some shit talk here or there. But in the end of the day, it's all about working together and trying to come to a conclusion in a nice, civil manner. Exchange numbers, the whole 9 yards, Again, in Michigan, I have never seen a civil interaction in my entire life. So somewhere else, it could be. When I was in Ohio, again, thankfully, I was never into an accident. Nothing ever happened to me. My interactions with the police weren't the best, but they were nice to me. But when I say that, it was just because I got pulled over. Stupid stuff. I have a great driving record. Just want to put that on the record. But as a whole, I just find it very endearing that people still exist to where they would rather check on, others before themselves. So my question for you guys, this one is the question of the day. If you were ever in a car accident or in any incident, as a matter of fact, are you more concerned for yourself or are you concerned of the well-being of others before yourself? Now, regardless of how you guys answer this question, it's fair to say your answer is valid for both reasons. Because again, you want to make sure you're okay, but at the same time, it's also great to know that others are doing okay as well. Now, this is relationships to cars. Now, outside of car accidents, are you guys the same way? Now, I can't really think of a situation where, off top of my head, but, you know what, better yet? No, I got nothing. So, if you guys have another scenario or another instance where this applies, please feel free to let me know. Send me an email, share your comments, and then, we'll go from there. And I'll share what you guys say to me as we go on. Speaking of altercations, lately on my Facebook page and on Snapchat and pretty much every social media outlet that exists, there's been a lot of altercations. Now, I, on the internet, am that guy who just sits and just watches the world crumble. If I have something beneficial to say or something that will contribute to an argument in a educational manner, I will do so. 9 out of 10 times, I do not. Now, the reason being is because People just have their minds made up. Sometimes you can't get through to people, and sometimes others aren't as, what's the word? Considerate to another person's point of view. And as I already mentioned before, if you guys haven't already alluded what I'm trying to refer to, the recent election. Obviously, I will not discuss my political affiliation. I don't feel the need to. I mean, if you guys are curious, ask me. Maybe I'll tell you. But my reason being is the whole war between Trump and Biden right now. Granted, the whole war between Democrats and Republicans, really, we are a nation divided, which is very saddening, to say the least, but it's just the way things have been nowadays. And of course, I'm not going to blame one person, I'm not going to blame another person, I'm not going to blame this group over that group. Again, this isn't this show is not for me trying to sway you guys who's right, who's wrong, who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. My point is, this election is getting pretty heated. Now, I'm not here to talk to you guys about right and wrongs of the election, who's right and who's wrong. My topic today goes out to voting. Yes, I'm talking about voting. Now, November 3rd, we're all going to go out and vote, right? Well, hopefully. But at the same time, I have a question for you guys. Do we have to vote? Now, of course, everyone would say it is our right as Americans to vote, especially when it comes to voting for the President of the United States. If you are a U.S. citizen, you would be foolish to not vote for the President of the United States. Especially when the tides right now are escalating to levels of, madness. But I was actually talking to my friend, and we were discussing the election and everything. And I was posing the question that I'm going to pose to you guys today. Why is it that we are forced to vote for a candidate? Now, typically, we have our two candidate options, which are Democrats and Republicans. Of course, in certain situations, the candidate that some people wanted, I will say in regards to one of my friends, wanted Bernie Sanders. Great guy. But obviously, Bernie's not running anymore. He dropped from the race. Now you're left with Trump and Biden. Now, of course, my friend can't vote for Bernie. I'm going to vote for Biden. Understandable. Obviously, leans more Democratic. I have another friend. Doesn't like Biden. I'm going to vote Trump. Yes, I am friends with Trump supporters. They're not as bad as you expect. But, all talk aside, going to vote for Trump. And my thing is, why is it that when I talk to some of my friends, they're like, oh, well, I don't like this person, but I'm going to vote for this guy. I don't like this person or what they stand for, but I'm going to vote for them. Why would you vote for somebody that you do not support based on their views and ideals? Is it because we only have two options? That you can only vote for Trump, or you can only vote for Biden, or you can only vote Republican, or you can only vote Democrat? Why is it that we are told that we have to vote just because it is our right, it is our, whatever it is you want to call it, our duty, our civil duty as human beings or as Americans? I feel that if you do not support, obviously in this situation, if you don't support Donald Trump, you're not going to vote for him. But at the same time, if you don't support Biden, don't vote for him. Essentially, you're not going to vote in this year's election. Eventually, well, regardless, whether you vote or not, someone's going to win. It's just the way the world works. But at the same time, people are going to argue, oh, if you don't vote, then you are voting for the wrong person, because the wrong person could win. But then again, who's right and who's wrong? It just goes down to who you support morally, who you support their ideals, and who you see or you deem fit to run our country. Now, again, I'm not trying to argue who's the best, who should be running our country, this and this. I'm just simply posing the question on, do we have to vote? Based on this notion of, if you don't support the candidate's ideals, why vote at all? So it actually, it stemmed a good conversation, because I feel that if, this is just me, I feel like if you don't support either party, then it's okay not to vote. Now me, I like to think things on all sides, all spectrums, and try to understand a person's reasoning and logic. If you don't vote, I don't believe that is you saying that this person is going to win, or that you want this person to win, or you want this person to lose. I just see it as, you don't support any of the candidates, which is okay, because you don't have to agree with them, because we're not always going to agree with somebody. Yeah, you can always see that they support some things that you like, but then why would you vote for that person? Just because you're told that you have to vote? I feel that it takes away from a person's right to vote, or at least that's how I look at it. I feel like regardless if you vote for somebody, even though you don't support that candidate, then you're essentially just saying you're just going to vote for the hell of it because you're told you have to vote. But that's the thing, we don't have to vote. We have the right to choose whether we vote or not. It is technically, essentially, even if you do vote, it all goes to waste eventually, because do they really care about the popular vote? No. The last couple of years have proven that. They only care about the electoral votes, which I'm going to go ahead and say, down with the Electoral College. Democracy is supreme, but we don't even have a true democracy. But that's a topic for another day. Actually, this is actually today's topic. But I'm not going to get into the whole nitty-gritty of democracy, you know what I mean? But, I feel that there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't support, you don't have to vote. Whether you choose to share that with people, that's totally up to you. But then again, that just goes back into being open to discussion. I feel that these are things, again, one of the importance to tea time is being able to sip on tea and talk about things that make us uncomfortable. Those taboo topics. Politics, so taboo these days. And I just think it's crazy that we can't have that mindset that we always have to pick somebody when we have the choice to not pick anyone at all. Could you imagine? Now, I'm not trying to change everyone's minds to say don't vote and prove a point, but could you just imagine if nobody voted, what would happen? That would be insane, right? Because essentially that right there shows power in the people, compared to we're doing it because the system tells us to do it. And there's a lot of instances where we're told to do a lot of things because the system tells us to do it. But we don't necessarily have to. But because it's the trend, better yet, the trend isn't the best word to use, but because it's our obligation, there we are. It is our obligation as Americans to vote, we vote. Even if it's someone that we don't believe in, wholeheartedly, we still vote for them. Now, I'm all in favor for that. You gotta have somebody. So you're gonna go back to the whole concept of the best of two evils. Now, let me just go into a quick flashback here for the Hillary Trump election, presidency campaign. During that campaign, a lot of things were publicized. A lot of things came about. Now, clearly you've seen that there is downfalls to both candidates. Even today, there's still downfalls to both candidates. But after Bernie dropped out of the race last election, a lot of people that I knew, and based off headlines, they all said, oh, people aren't going to vote for Bernie, they're going to vote for Hillary. But Hillary screwed up the Democratic National Convention. She a bit shady. I don't care if you supported her, but we all know she a bit shady. Hillary, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but you a bit shady. but Bernie dropped. Everyone goes, I'm either going to vote for Hillary, or there was a huge third party outlet, vote third party, or a lot of people, believe it or not, instead of voting Bernie, voted Trump. So it's just this crazy notion where you're forced to vote when you're not forced at all. Even when it comes to situations just like that one. I'm not going to get too heavy into this topic anymore because I'm going to try to wrap this up. Again, I got to get back to studying. This is already cutting close to an hour, and I'm not trying to hit that mark. I will say that there is nothing wrong voting third party, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Always and forever, Vermin Supreme will be on that ballot. So if you like Vermin Supreme and you are about his political views, totally do it. Don't forget, last year he wanted to give everybody a pony. And I don't see why anyone wouldn't want a pony. So just keep that in mind, and as time moves on, think about it. Make sure if you're voting for the right cause, right issues. Stop looking at the person per se, even though you are looking at the person, but what they preach. Because I will say there's both sides that I don't support in some of their views, and I can see some good things that they say. But, politics, it's all talk. They all run around. In the end, it's rich people trying to push their agendas, ladies and gentlemen. So that's where it comes down to. So it's just saying, what rich person do you want to support today? And with that concludes the topic, but opens up our poll question. Do you guys feel that you are obligated to vote? No matter the candidates, that you feel that you have to vote, even if you don't like the candidates. Feel free to let me know what your guys' responses are. This is the topic that I was most interested in hearing back from everybody. So I hope to hear from you, and I hope to hear your guys' opinions. So, unfortunately, I break some bad news to you guys. Nobody delivered me a thought of the day. Very emotional for me. I love hearing thoughts of the days, and I love sharing thoughts of the days. And I would give a thought of the day, but I have so many thoughts. And like I said, I'm crazy. And I don't want to keep being the one to share my thoughts. I want to have other people's thoughts on here. I want to be able to shout them out and let you guys be recognized for the thoughts that you give me. So, in that regards, I'm just going to go ahead and go straight to our song of the day. Now, let me just tell all of you right now, I have been listening to this song on repeat so much it's disgusting. It has such a catchy beat. It's going to make you dance. It is a bop. If there was a song that just made you feel good and you just fell in love, this is that song. Now, the artist, her name, or their name, I do believe it is a her. It is Sir Woman. There's 2 other bands that she is in. I'm not, you know what? I guess I can give you guys that little little bit of info. So, she is also, her name is Kelsey Wilson, Sir Woman, the band. The artist's name is Kelsey Wilson, and she is also in Wild Child, and another band called Glorietta. Both bands are wonderful. And of course, I've been listening to her new music, and I'm telling you guys, you're going to fall in love. If you don't like this song, I will jump off a cliff. So here you are, ladies and gentlemen. Sir Woman, Making Love.
She's making love in her mind, and she's not even trying. She'll take the words right out of your mouth. Not a witch, but you know she's controlling your mind. You make a move, but she's tuning you out. She's walking through the walls, right back into your heart. She knows it wasn't right. You know it wasn't right. Makes you wanna be a better man. Makes you wanna take her on the town. You remember those legs when she started walking around. Makes you wanna be a better man. Makes you think about it late at night, every time that it rains. Yeah, you know she did it right. She's making love in her mind, and she's not even trying. She'll take the words right out of your mouth. Not a witch, but you know she's controlling your mind. You'll make a move, but she's tuning you out.
Alright guys, I want to go ahead and thank you for listening to me banter for the last, 46 minutes or so? We'll say 50, with all my little tidbits and my musical intermissions. I hope you guys enjoy the music. I really hope you love Sir Woman, because I'm telling you, if you don't, I will lose my mind. I will lose it. But thank you for joining me on Tea Time with Aladdin. I currently had 2 cups of tea while recording this, and I am also very, very sleepy. It's currently 10 in the morning, so I'm about to go to the school, do my work, continue my work, and, well, you guys are going to be living your days. So please enjoy your day. Again, share my my words of wisdom with the world. Make sure you're enjoying your tea and your coffee. And I wish you guys a beautiful day. Happy October. And I'll see you guys on next episode. Peace out. Have a great night, guys. Great night. It's morning. Have a great morning. Peace and love.